Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Freedom. Oh, freedom.
My name is Jenna Nazario, and I am the Special Projects Coordinator for the County of Rockland. Throughout working in my tenure at the county, I was given the privilege of meeting Virginia Norfleet and the HAAC, and during the time of the pandemic in the summer, we were going out into the community, and she kind of took me under her wing and allowed me to go with her, and I was able to see firsthand the community need and also her impact on the community. And so for me, it was so rewarding and incredible moment in my career because it's exactly where I wanted to go with it. So I knew that working with Virginia, I'd be given these opportunities to help the people the way they truly needed it. And we went from distribution centers of giving away close to 100,000 masks and hand sanitizer and so much other PPE to now welcoming Harriet Tubman to the county, which we see as just being one of the most monumental things that could happen here in a time where social justice and collaboration and connectivity, inclusivity is so important, not just here, but around the country. And so we are so proud to be welcoming Harriet, and there's no one better to be doing it than Virginia and the HAAC. So growing up in Rockland, I was born and raised here. I went through the Nyack School District, and when I connected with Virginia and the HAAC, I realized how much history I didn't know about the county and about the contributions of the people, especially the African American people here in this county. And it has been a rewarding experience to walk through history with them to really unearth all of the stories and the contributions that African Americans have played in this county for over 400 years. And what Harriet Tubman really represents is what HAAC does. They fight for social justice, they fight for equity, they fight for a place in history, and they do it in a way with grace and the same as Harriet. And this is why she's so important to come here, because she was a social justice pioneer even before social justice was coined as a phrase, as a hot topic. And Virginia Norfleet does the exact same thing. She raises people's voices up, but she connects people on a human level. It doesn't matter what walk of life you're from, where you're from, who you are, what you look like. She doesn't care. If you're willing to learn, she will teach you the history, and she will be proud to teach you the history and walk alongside you. And that's why Harriet, again, is someone that we can emulate. And when you see the statue, you see that she's paving the way for more women, and Virginia's doing just the same.
My name is Constance Frazier, and I happen to be the Human Rights Commissioner for the great county of Rockland. And this is an opportunity to talk a little bit about history in the making. I was born in New York City in Harlem, but I was raised in Rockland County, and I was really excited to be able to go through the Rockland County Public Schools, and from there went on to New Paltz and received not only a very good education, but was always proud of the fact that I came from Nyack and I came from Rockland County. History is in the making, and the fact that Harriet Tubman, the monument, is coming to Rockland, I am just overwhelmed. And it is something that will remain forever in everyone's episodic memory. The time, the place, and the space where it happened. We have never, ever had a monument of an African American paying tribute to the contributions of African Americans in this county. And in particular, Haverstraw is very special. Not because Virginia Norfleet was raised here, but it's very special because what she has done to illustrate and to illumine the contributions of African Americans. One of the things that's so special about Harriet is this is the first time that we will get a chance to actually see the sculpture. But she is to be commended. And I wish she were alive to this day so I could walk up to her and say, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant." If you go to the Rockland County Hall of Fame, it's in the Alice in Paris building, you will see a picture of Harriet Tubman on the wall commemorating her contributions to Rockland County. And at the end of the day, I think about this often. I think about Virginia Norfleet as our Harriet Tubman. She's not bringing slaves out of bondage, but what she's doing is bringing education to people and making them aware of the contributions African Americans have made to Rockland County and to Haverstraw. And I'm really honored to have had the pleasure to work with her for the last 5.5 years.
My name is Kelly Lawson. I'm an educator in Brooklyn, New York. I was born and raised in Haverstraw, New York, and I love this village. This village is full of people of color, and we are on the mission through the Haverstraw African American Connection to bring not only Harriet Tubman's accomplishments, but all African Americans' accomplishments, like the one that Virginia Norfleet has given us with the vision of Haverstraw African American Connection. I just want to talk about Harriet Tubman for a minute and what she means to me. Many, many years ago, as Virginia Norfleet and I were growing up, we often spoke about the fact that we didn't really learn a lot of history, a lot of African American history in school, which was tragic. Because of the fact that we did not learn a lot about African Americans, we felt less than at all times. There may have been a paragraph about Martin Luther King, a paragraph about Rosa Parks, but no more than that. Harriet Tubman was an essential worker. We know that term because many people, because of the pandemic, are living this vision of being important. Harriet Tubman was an essential worker, and we can go on with her legacy in knowing more about her and her vision of freeing over 300 slaves. She was a nurse. She was a scout. She means so much to me as an educator. Quiero que mucha la gente viene aquí al parque por decir y ver el monumento de Harriet Tubman. Es muy importante por el viaje, es muy importante que toda la gente puede aquí por dice Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman was born to slavery in the 1800s. She made numerous trips to free slaves. She made trips from Maryland to Pennsylvania and then on to Canada freeing slaves.
Harriet Tubman is special to me because she was a trailblazer that stopped slavery. If she hadn't saved my ancestors, we would still be in slavery today.
Harriet Tubman is abolitionist. Harriet Tubman was called Moses. Harriet Tubman was a leader.
I'm Jackie Sanders, and these are HAAC kids. And what we're trying to say today is that Harriet Tubman was a trailblazer, a leader, a conductor, an activist, also known as Moses, an abolitionist. She inspired all of us, and if it wasn't for her, we may still be in slavery today. Hey, Harriet!
Hello, my name is Andrea Meyer Winograd, and I am the Executive Director of the Holocaust Museum and Center for Tolerance and Education located at Rockland Community College. I have the distinct pleasure of working with Virginia Norfleet and the entire HAAC contingency on so many different projects. When Virginia Norfleet told me that the Harriet Tubman sculpture was coming to Haverstraw, New York, to our beautiful county, I was in awe. I remember learning about Harriet Tubman when I was a child, and she was an icon to me. I hope that our schools, over time, can teach more about history of African Americans, Jewish, Latinos, so many of these groups that make our county and our universe so wonderfully diverse. I think of Harriet Tubman, I think of courage, I think of a fierce woman, I think of a determined woman, and a woman of faith. When I think of Harriet Tubman, one of my idols, I also think of Virginia Norfleet. Virginia Norfleet possesses some of the same characteristics of Harriet Tubman. We am looking so forward to the experience, the African American Museum here in Haverstraw, New York, in our beautiful county, and may we all live in peace. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Virginia Norfleet, the founder and chair of the Haverstraw African American Connection. The reason why this Harriet Tubman exhibit, A Journey to Freedom, is so special to me is because I was born and raised here in Haverstraw. My mother was born and raised here in Haverstraw. My grandmother came here in the early 1900s. All of our lives, all of the generations, were never taught that there were slaves in Haverstraw. We were schooled through the North Rockland School District, or the Haverstraw High District at the time, and no one ever mentioned slavery in New York, period. In 2005, I knocked down, which at that time was an old house, we thought, and upon knocking that home down, we found a brick that had a cross etched on it, and also a business directory that talked about African Americans being in the town of Warren, which was Haverstraw, in 1846. Much to my surprise and everyone that I shared it with, we were taught that African Americans came to Haverstraw to work in the brickyards in the late 1800s or 1900s, but no one mentioned them prior. If there was an African church here in 1846, I thought to myself, there must be some Africans that went to that church. So I started on a quest to find the truth. The truth of the matter is that the Dutch brought their slaves into Haverstraw in 1616. Haverstraw was called Haverstraw, and Manhattan was called New Amsterdam. And according to the Dutch map that we received, a copy of it, it only shows those two places. Haverstraw was picked because of the rich clay banks that you see all around the water scene here. They brought their slaves, and then in 1790, when the first census was taken, it is recorded that Haverstraw, New York, had 238 slaves. Haverstraw was 60% African American during the brickyard era, yet they are never spoken about. The bay that you see was created due to the 1906 landslide, in which they only mentioned 19 people that died. Never did they speak about anybody African American. So in 2005, upon the discovery of the history of the African Americans, I went to the town board and the mayor, Mike Kohut, and I asked for this piece of land and decided to erect a monument to forever tell their story, and our history is documented well here. The park opened in 2016, and it opens with this kiosk that is to the right of me, which tells you the story from Africa to America. The other thing that we were able to do was we celebrate Juneteenth here in Haverstraw. We will be on our 6th Juneteenth celebration, and the first holiday celebration of Juneteenth will be this year, because it's actually a New York State holiday as of last year, July, I believe. In any event, the reason why it's so important to bring Harriet and other people is because the untold story of the African Americans is still not well documented and still rarely told. It's not in our curriculums in the schools. It's not often mentioned, and most people think we were just slaves. On my research, I found that not only did we contribute to the building of Manhattan and New York and the country was built on slave labor, but also many inventions were made and discovered by African Americans. Harriet not only was the conductor of the Underground Railroad, but she was also a spy. She was a nurse. She was an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, and most of all, and a humanitarian. But the thing that I loved about Harriet the most is she was a woman of faith. It is my belief that it was because of our faith and our trust that God would make all things right that we stand now on the shoulders of all our ancestors who believed that one day freedom would come and one day their story would be told. And I am blessed and honored to be that storyteller. I am Harriet Tubman's storyteller, and I am grateful for the opportunity to be the person to bring the story forward. So as we continue to unveil the untold story, it is a guarantee that the story will never end. The next generation storyteller is sitting next to me. This is my grandson, Lamar.
Hello, my name is Lamar. I grew up in Haverstraw all my life, been here all my life. I'm definitely honored to be able to be on this journey to, tell our history, because a lot of times our history is not told, and I'm also part of HAC. And I'm honored to be the next generation storyteller.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave.